Laura Wilson stood tall in the Grand Council chambers. The room was filled with aliens from across the galaxy. Some had too many eyes. Others had skin that changed colors. A few were just clouds of gas in special suits. All of them looked down on humans. Laura took a deep breath. Today would change everything. For 200 years, Earth has been part of this council, she said. Her voice was calm but firm. For 200 years, we have given our resources, our labor, and our soldiers. And for 200 years, you have treated us like children, unlike Vexari Ambassador, a tall blue being with 4 arms, made a sound like laughter. That is because you are children. Your species barely left your planet before we found you. Laura ignored him. This was not a debate. This was a goodbye. Earth formally withdraws from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. All human troops will return to Sol System. All human trade agreements with Council worlds are ended. All Council bases in our system must be empty within 7 days. The room exploded with noise. Some aliens shouted. Others made strange noises in their own languages. A few seemed happy that the troublesome humans were leaving. The head of the Council, an ancient being named Zor, raised his hand for quiet. Ambassador Wilson, this is a rash decision. The galaxy is a dangerous place for a lone world. We are aware of the dangers, Laura said. We choose to face them alone, rather than be held back by the Council. The Elduran representative, a creature that looked like a giant worm, spoke next. You will return within a year, begging for protection. The pirates and the drool will tear your trade ships apart. Laura just smiled. We will see. She turned and walked out of the chamber, not looking back. Back on her ship, Laura sent the coded message to Earth. It is done. 4 days later, on Juan, Earth, Fleet Admiral George Martinez stood in the secret command center under the Rocky Mountains. Around him, officers worked at screens showing the whole Sol system. All Council monitoring stations have been surrounded, said Captain Ryan Bell. They seem surprised. Martinez wasn't surprised. The Council thought humans only had the ships and weapons they were allowed to have. They didn't know about the secret fleet hidden in the dark side of Mars, or the bases in the asteroids, or the weapons that human scientists had been making in secret for decades. Tell them they have 3 hours to leave or be destroyed, Martinez ordered. Be polite but firm. On Screen 6, a Council station near Jupiter was already loading its people onto transport ships. They had not expected humans to act so quickly, or with such force. Sir, we're getting calls from Council representatives on Earth, said Communications Officer Olivia Davis. They want to talk. Tell them to pack, Martinez said. They're leaving too. Across Earth, people watched the news, with mixed feelings. Some were scared, others were excited. Most were just glad that humans would finally control their own future. In New York, crowds cheered in the streets. In Beijing, people set off fireworks. In Lagos, there were parties that lasted all night. But in the quiet rooms where Earth's leaders met, the mood was serious. President Sam Miller met with his top advisors in the White House underground bunker. How are we doing on the defense grid? It will be fully online within 2 days, said Defense Secretary Karen Lee. Once it's active, nothing gets in or out of Sol system without our permission. And the warp gate? Chief Engineer Paul Ward nodded. We've changed the codes. We control who uses it now. The warp gate was the most valuable thing in the Sol system. Built by the Council centuries before humans even knew aliens existed, it allowed ships to travel instantly to other gates across the galaxy. Without it, travel between stars would take years. What about our people out there? Asked Miller. How many humans are still in Council space? We've been quietly bringing them home for months, said Intelligence Director Jack Green. The few who remain are either our agents or people who chose to stay. Miller looked at the strategic map on the wall. Earth was just one small dot in a sea of Council-controlled worlds. They were drastically outnumbered. But they had been planning this for years. They think we'll fail, Miller said. They think we need them. They're wrong, Martinez said firmly. And they'll realize just how wrong very soon. In space, the last Council ships were leaving Sol system. Council diplomats were being escorted onto transports. The Earth was reclaiming itself. On the moon base, scientists were already expanding the facilities that had been kept small by council rules. In orbit, construction ships were building bigger, better space stations. In the asteroid belt, mining operations were ramping up to full speed. For the first time in centuries, humanity was free to grow without limits. But Laura Wilson, now back on Earth, knew the real plan was just beginning. In her secure office under Geneva, she met with the team that would monitor what happened next. "The council thinks we left because we're angry," she told them. "They don't understand that we're playing a much longer game." On her screen was a classified document titled Operation New Dawn. It detailed exactly what would happen in the coming months as the council realized how much they had depended on humans. "Phase 1 is complete," she said, checking off the first item on the list. "We're out of the council and in control of our system." "How long until Phase 2 begins?" asked her deputy, Ben Harris. Laura looked at the galactic map, where red dots showed the locations of human ships now returning from across council space. "It's already beginning," she said. "The council used our ships to protect trade routes. They used our soldiers to fight their battles. They used our workers in their factories. Now all of that is gone." In deep space, the first council merchant ship was already sending distress calls as pirates attacked it. With no human patrol ships nearby, they were easy targets. The council hadn't just held humans back, they had become dependent on them, and now they would learn what happens when you take humans for granted. Laura closed the file and looked at her team. "Now we wait and watch. The council will begin to fall apart within 6 months, and when they're desperate enough, we'll show them what humanity can really do." Outside her window, the sun was setting over a free Earth. The stars were coming out, distant points of light in the darkness. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was about to learn a hard lesson. Humanity hadn't just abandoned the Galactic Council. They had set a trap. 6 months passed since Earth left the Galactic Council. The changes were bigger and faster than even Earth's leaders had expected. Peter Johnson stared at the reports coming in from the intelligence network that Earth still had spread across council space. As the lead science officer at Earth Defense Command, his job was to track what happened after humans left. "This is worse than we predicted," he said to Admiral Martinez. "The Centauri trade routes have completely collapsed. The pirates have taken over 3 major shipping lanes already." Martinez nodded. He wasn't surprised. For centuries, the council had used human ships and soldiers to protect their trade routes. They had never built up their own forces. Now those human forces were gone. "What about the food shipments to the inner worlds?" Martinez asked. "Delayed. Or stolen," Johnson said. "Food prices on 12 council worlds have doubled in the last month. There are riots on Vexar Prime." The plan was working even better than expected. The council had become too dependent on humans, and now they were paying the price. "Sir, we have visitors," said the COM officer. "A ship from the Mektari Consortium is asking for permission to enter the system." The Mektari were not part of the council. They were traders who had always been fair to humans. Earth still did business with them. "Let them in," Martinez ordered. "But scan their ship carefully." The visitors were taken to a secure meeting room deep under New Geneva. President Susan Brooks was there to meet them, along with her top advisors. The Mektari representative was named Crow. He had 6 limbs and skin that looked like blue crystal. His translator box turned his musical language into English. "Thank you for seeing me," Krell said. "I come with news and a request." "We're listening," Brooks said. "The galaxy is falling into chaos without human forces," Krell said. "The Zithran pirates now control the Proxima sector. The Drool are expanding their territory. The Vexari are demanding payment from smaller worlds for protection." This was exactly what Earth had expected to happen. The Council had never been good at protecting the weak. They had used humans for that job. "And what would you have us do?" Brooks asked. The Council made it clear we were not equals. They only wanted us as their soldiers and workers. Kral's crystal skin changed to a darker blue. "We are not the Council. We are the worlds that have always traded fairly with Earth. We do not ask you to return to the Council. We ask for your help." Brooks looked at Alan Nguyen, her chief strategist. He gave a small nod. This was part of the plan, too. We will consider your request, Brooks said. But first, tell us more about what's happening in council space. Krell spent the next hour describing how quickly things were falling apart. The council races were fighting among themselves. Some were already talking about leaving the council, just as Earth had done. When the Mechtauri left, Brooks turned to her team. Phase 2 is happening faster than we expected. How soon can we move to Phase 3? The Ghost Fleet is almost ready, Martinez said. Another month, maybe less. Good, Brooks nodded. The council needs to suffer a bit longer before we show our hand. In the war room beneath Mount Rainier, Earth's leaders watched the galactic map. Red spots showed trouble areas spreading across council space. The chaos was growing every day. Out in that chaos, many were suffering. But Earth had planned for this. Sometimes things had to get worse before they could get better. The council had ruled through control and fear for too long. Far from Earth on the council world of Elduran Prime, an emergency meeting was taking place. The council members were angry and afraid. The humans did this on purpose, shouted the Vexari ambassador. They knew what would happen when they left. They had every right to leave, said the representative from Axiom, a smaller world. We treated them poorly for centuries. We need to ask them to come back, said another voice. Offer them better terms. Never, shouted the Vexari. We will not beg humans for help. But privately, many knew they might have no choice. The systems were breaking down. Trade was disrupted. Food was not reaching hungry worlds. The pirates were getting bolder every day, and Earth watched it all, waiting for the right moment. Back on Earth, life was better than it had been in generations. Without council restrictions, human technology was advancing rapidly. The defense grid around the solar system was the strongest in the galaxy. New ships were being built. New colonies were being established on Mars and in the asteroid belt. For the first time in 200 years, humans controlled their own destiny. In her office, Laura Wilson reviewed the latest intelligence. The council sent a message, she told Martinez. They want to discuss our return to the galactic community. Martinez smiled. They're starting to panic. Yes, but we're not ready to respond yet, Wilson said. Let them panic a bit more. On the edges of council space, the situation was getting desperate. The agricultural world of Terramus, which grew food for many inner worlds, sent an urgent message directly to Earth, bypassing the council. Please help us, the message said. The Drool have surrounded our world. They demand we give them all our food production or they will destroy our atmospheric processors. Millions will die, the council cannot help us. Heather Wright, the communications director, brought the message to the emergency council. This is the third world to ask for our help this week, she said. Are we ready to move to Phase 3? Brooks asked Martinez. He nodded and placed a small device on the table. It projected a hologram of a ship unlike anything seen before. It was sleek and dark with no visible weapons or engines. The Ghost Fleet, Martinez said proudly. 50 ships with technology the council does not know we have. They can't be detected by standard scanners. Their weapons can disable planetary defenses without harming civilians. They're faster and stronger than anything the council has. The council always feared what humans might become if not controlled, Brooks said, studying the hologram. They were right to be afraid. There's more, said Johnson. We've intercepted council messages. They're blaming us for everything, telling their people that Earth planned all of this chaos. Well, they're not entirely wrong, Wilson said with a small smile. It doesn't matter what they say, Brooks decided. Actions speak louder than words. Prepare the Ghost Fleet. We're going to save Terramus. The first ship slipped away from Earth the next day, invisible to any watching eyes. The council would soon learn that humanity hadn't just abandoned them. Humanity had evolved beyond them, and the real changes were just beginning. The Ghost Fleet moved through space undetected. Admiral Martinez stood on the bridge of the lead ship, the Shadow. Around him, the crew worked in near silence. They were the best Earth had to offer, chosen for this historic mission. "Time to Taramis?" Martinez asked. "4 hours, sir," replied Lieutenant Lisa Carter at the helm. "Still no sign that anyone has detected us. The Ghost Fleet used technology that Earth had been developing in secret for decades. The ships absorbed scanner waves instead of reflecting them. Their engines left no energy trail. They were invisible to all standard detection methods." In the ship's strategy room, Commander Eric Russell briefed his Special Forces team. "Taramis has 12 atmospheric processors," he said, pointing to a map. "The Drool have placed bombs on all of them. Our job is to remove those bombs before they know we're there." His team had trained for years for missions like this. They wore advanced suits that could change color to match any background. Their weapons could disable without killing. They were Earth's shadows, and they were about to show the galaxy what humans could really do. Back on Earth, Dr. Frank Bennett watched from the command center as data streamed in from the Ghost Fleet. As head of advanced technologies, many of the fleet's innovations were his work. "The Drool don't know what's about to hit them," he said to President Brooks, who stood nearby. "And neither does the Council," Brooks replied. "For 200 years they limited what technology we could have. They're about to learn that holding humans back only makes us more creative." On Taramis, the situation was desperate. The Drool, a species known for their cruelty, had given the planet one day to agree to their demands. The governor of Taramis had sent one final message to the Council before communications were cut. The Council had not responded. The Ghost Fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel just outside the Taramis system. They moved in slowly, using the planet's moons for cover. "Deploy the teams," Martinez ordered. 20 small craft left the larger ships. Each carried a team of special forces. They approached the planet from different angles, completely undetected by the Drool ships in orbit. Commander Russell's team was the first to land, touching down silently near the main atmospheric processor. Through his enhanced vision, he could see Drool guards patrolling. They were tall, muscular beings with thick scales for skin. They carried energy weapons that could tear through most armor, but not through the armor Russell's team wore. "Move out," Russell whispered into his comm. "Remember, disable only. No killing unless absolutely necessary." The team spread out, moving like ghosts between shadows. One by one, the Drool guards dropped, hit with stun weapons that left no marks and made no sound. Within 30 minutes, Russell's team had secured the main processor and removed the bomb. The other teams reported similar success across the planet. All atmospheric processors secure, Russell reported to the shadow. "No casualties on either side. The Drool never knew we were here." In orbit, Martinez gave the next order. "Disable the Drool ships." The Ghost Fleet moved into position around the planet. Each ship targeted several Drool vessels. On Martinez's command, they fired. The weapons were another Earth secret, energy pulses that overloaded systems without causing physical damage. One by one, the Drool ships went dark. No explosions, no destruction, just complete system failure. "Open a channel to the Drool command ship," Martinez ordered. On the screen, a Drool commander appeared. His scales were dull red with black patterns, marking him as a high-ranking officer. His eyes widened as he saw a human. "This is Admiral George Martinez of Earth," Martinez said calmly. "Your forces on Taramis have been neutralized. Your ships are disabled. You are being given one chance to leave this system peacefully." "Impossible," the Drool growled. "We would have detected your approach." "Look out your viewport," Martinez suggested. The Drool turned. Through the window behind him, the Ghost Fleet was now visible, having turned off their cloaking technology. Dark ships, sleek and dangerous, surrounded the Drool vessels. "The people of Taramis are under Earth's protection now," Martinez continued. "Leave and tell your leaders that any world that asks for our help will receive it." Fear showed on the Drool commander's face. "The Council will not allow this interference," Martinez smiled. "The Council cannot stop what they cannot see." Within hours, the Drool forces were gone, limping away in their damaged ships. The Ghost Fleet remained just long enough to deliver supplies and defensive systems to Taramis. Then they vanished, leaving only a message broadcasted on all frequencies. "Humanity stands with the innocent, not with the Council, but with the people. The liberation of Terminus took less than 6 hours. By the time the Council received word of what had happened, the Ghost Fleet was already gone. On the Council homeworld of Eldarin Prime, emergency meetings were called. The Council members argued for hours. Some wanted to send ships to Terminus to investigate, others wanted to pretend nothing had happened. The humans could not have done this, insisted the Vexari representative. Their technology is not advanced enough. Then who saved Terminus? Asked the representative from Axiom. Who drove away the drool when we could not? The debate raged on, but deep down, many suspected the truth. Humanity had been holding back, hiding their true capabilities, and now they were showing just a fraction of what they could do. Over the next month, similar incidents occurred throughout the galaxy. The Zithran pirates found their bases destroyed by an enemy they never saw coming. Vexari extortion fleets disappeared without a trace. Trade routes reopened, protected by automated defense platforms of clearly human design. Intelligence Officer Kyle Parker brought the latest reports to President Brooks. The smaller worlds are beginning to openly support us, he said. They're refusing to pay council taxes, saying that Earth protects them better than the council ever did. And the council response? Brooks asked. They're blaming us for everything, Parker said, claiming that Earth orchestrated the entire crisis, the pirate attacks, the drool expansion, all of it, just to make them look bad. Let them say what they want, Brooks replied. The people know who's actually helping them. In a secret meeting room on Eldarin Prime, Ambassador Carol Reed sat quietly in the back. Though Earth had officially left the council, they had kept observers in place. Reed's job was to watch and report. The High Counselor, a Vexari named Vextara, was shouting at the other members. The humans are making us look weak and incompetent. They must be brought back under control. When Reed was unexpectedly invited to speak, she approached the podium calmly. Earth has no interest in returning to the council, she said. We are simply protecting those who cannot protect themselves, something the council should have been doing all along. This is an act of war, shouted the Vexari representative. Reed smiled. No, this is an act of humanity. If you viewed it as war, you would have already lost. As she left the chamber, Reed sent a secure message to Earth. Phase 3 complete. The council is fracturing from within. The progressive factions are calling for reform. The old guard is demanding military action they cannot support. On Earth, President Brooks read the message and nodded. Begin Phase 4, she told her advisors. It's time to build something better than the council ever was. The galaxy was changing and humanity was leading the way. 1 year had passed since Earth left the Galactic Council. The galaxy looked very different now. President Susan Brooks stood in front of 30 alien ambassadors in the newly built Unity Hall on Earth's moon. This was the first meeting of what would become the Galactic Cooperative. We do not seek to rule, Brooks told them. We have seen what happens when one group tries to control others. The cooperative exists for defense, fair trade, and growth for all members. The aliens in the room were from worlds that had suffered under council rule. Some were former council members who had broken away. Others were worlds the council had never considered important enough to join. Earth offers protection to all who join the cooperative, Brooks continued, but we also expect all members to help protect others when they can. No world stands alone. Admiral Martinez stepped forward and activated a large display. It showed technical plans for defensive systems. These are some of the technologies we've been developing, Martinez said. We will share them with all member worlds. Your planets will never again be easy targets. The ambassadors looked shocked. Some of these technologies were far beyond what the council allowed. Sharing them would change the balance of power forever. Why would you give us such power? Asked Kral, the Mektari representative. Because keeping others weak does not make us strong, Brooks replied. It only creates resentment and fear. True strength comes from standing together as equals. While the meeting continued on the moon, Laura Wilson was on a different mission. She had traveled secretly to Centauri Prime, a major world that was still part of the council but was having serious doubts. Wilson met with Prime Minister Zahn in a private garden. Guards stood far away, making sure they weren't heard. "The Council is failing," Zahn said quietly. "They promise to protect us from pirates, but the attacks continue. They demand more resources for defense, but nothing improves." "The cooperative can help," Wilson replied. "We've already cleared pirates from 3 sectors near you. But joining you would mean leaving the Council," Zahn said. "They might take action against us," Wilson smiled. "They might try. But you've seen what our Ghost Fleet can do, and you haven't seen everything we can do." Back on Earth, Dr. Frank Bennett was leading a tour of the new Technology Exchange Center. Representatives from cooperative worlds walked through the facility with wide eyes. "This medical scanner can detect diseases before symptoms appear," Bennett explained, showing them a small device. "And this water purification system can clean an entire lake in 1 day." These weren't weapons or defense systems. They were technologies to improve lives, to solve the problems that affected all worlds. "The Council kept these from us?" asked a representative from Axiom. "The Council believed in control through limitation," Bennett said. "We believe in growth through sharing." In deep space, the Ghost Fleet continued its work. Commander Eric Russell's team had just finished installing a defense grid around a small agricultural world. The locals said Drool ships have been scanning their system, Russell told Martinez over a secure channel. "They're afraid of another attack." "Let the Drool come," Martinez replied. "They'll find this world is no longer an easy target." Over the next month, Drool ships did come. They approached the small world with weapons ready, but before they could attack, the defense grid activated. Energy fields surrounded the Drool ships, holding them in place. A message played on all Drool frequencies. "This world is under cooperative. Protection. Leave now and do not return." The Drool ships retreated. Word spread quickly across the galaxy. More worlds began to reach out to Earth, asking to join the cooperative. On the Council homeworld, things were getting desperate. High Counselor Vex Tara called an emergency session. "Half of our member worlds have either left or are threatening to leave," he announced. "Our economy is failing. Trade is down 60%. "It's the humans," said another council member. "They're turning the galaxy against us." "No," said the representative from Talax, one of the oldest council members. "We did this to ourselves. We ruled through fear and control for too long. The humans just showed everyone another way." "Traitor," shouted Vextara. "You sound like you support them." "I do," said the Talaxian calmly, "and so does my world. Talax is joining the cooperative tomorrow." The room erupted in angry shouts, but it was too late. The council was losing its power, day by day. Ambassador Carol Reed watched from her observer seat. When the shouting died down, she stood and walked to the center of the chamber. "The cooperative welcomes Talax," she said, "as we welcome any world that wishes to join as an equal partner." "This is a human plot to take over the galaxy," Vextara shouted. Reed shook her head. "If we wanted to take over, we would have attacked. You directly. We have the power to do so. Instead, we chose to build something better." As Reed left the chamber, she sent a message to Earth. "Phase 4 is progressing faster than expected. The Council will completely collapse within months." Back, in Unity Hall, the number of member worlds had grown to 42. The cooperative was becoming a real power in the galaxy. Director Kyle Parker brought the latest intelligence to President Brooks. "The Vexari are mobilizing their fleet," he said. "They might be planning to attack our allies." Brooks looked at Martinez. "Is the Sunlance ready?" "It is," Martinez nodded. "But we've never used it. We don't know what the political fallout will be." The Sunlance was Earth's most powerful weapon. It could disable every ship in a fleet without firing a shot. It was the ultimate deterrent. "Send the Ghost Fleet to Vexari space," Brooks ordered. "Don't engage unless attacked, but let them see we're watching." The next day, the Vexari fleet prepared to leave their home system. But as they formed up, the Ghost Fleet appeared around them, dropping their cloaking fields in a perfect demonstration of power. Admiral Martinez opened a channel to the Vexari flagship. "This is your only warning," he said simply. "Return to orbit or face the consequences." The Vexari admiral was furious. "You dare to threaten us in our own system? The Council—" "Well, the Council can do nothing," Martinez interrupted. "And you know it. Make your choice." For a tense hour, nothing happened. Then one by one, the Vexari ships returned to their orbital stations. Martinez reported back to Earth. The Vexari backed down. No shots fired. President Brooks nodded with satisfaction. "And that's the difference between us and the Council. They would have started a war. We just prevented one." Phase 4 was almost complete. The old order was falling, and a new one was rising to take its place. A galaxy where all worlds stood as equals. 5 years had passed since Earth left the Galactic Council. The galaxy was a very different place now. The Galactic Cooperative had grown to include 87 worlds. Unity Hall on the Moon had been expanded 3 times to make room for all the representatives. Ships from 100 different species moved freely through Earth's solar system, trading and sharing ideas. President Susan Brooks stood at the main window of her office, looking out at the busy spaceport that now surrounded Earth. New buildings reached toward the sky. People from dozens of worlds walked the streets below. "It worked better than we ever hoped," she said to Admiral Martinez, who stood nearby. "Yes," he agreed. "But we still have one final challenge." The Vexari Empire was the last major holdout. They had been the most powerful voice in the old council, and they refused to accept that their time had passed. They had closed their borders, cut off trade, and threatened any world that joined the cooperative. "Their economy is collapsing," Martinez reported. "Their people are starting to protest in the streets. They can't hold out much longer." "And the rest of the old council?" Brooks asked. "Gone," Martinez smiled. "The last 5 members joined the cooperative last week. The council chamber on Eldarin Prime is empty. They've turned it into a museum." Brooks nodded with satisfaction. "Send a message to the Vexari. One last offer to join as equals." Later that day, in a different part of Unity Hall, Dr. Frank Bennett was working with scientists from 20 different worlds. They were solving problems together that none of them could have solved alone. "The new medical system is ready for testing," said a Mektari scientist, her crystal skin glowing with excitement. "And the faster-than-light drive improvements are showing a 30% increase in efficiency," added an engineer from Axiom. Bennett looked around the room with pride. This was what humanity had been working toward all along. Not control, but cooperation. Not fear, but friendship. "Dr. Bennett," called his assistant. "There's a message from the Vexari Empire. They're requesting to speak with Earth's leadership immediately." In the grand chamber of Unity Hall, representatives from all cooperative worlds gathered to witness history. At the center of the room stood a single Vexari. He was tall and blue with 4 arms and eyes that shimmered like oil on water. He was Lord Val, the highest-ranking Vexari official. President Brooks entered with her advisors. The room fell silent. "Lord Val?" Brooks nodded in greeting. "Welcome to Unity Hall." The Vexari did something shocking. He knelt down on one knee, the traditional Vexari gesture of respect. There were gasps from around the room. "President Brooks," Val said, his voice deeper than human voices could go. "I come to formally request that the Vexari Empire be allowed to join the Galactic Cooperative." Brooks helped him to his feet. "The cooperative welcomes all who wish to join as equal partners, even former enemies." Val looked around at the many species in the room. "We were wrong about humans," he admitted. "We feared your potential, so we tried to control you. In doing so, we created exactly what we feared most." "No," Brooks said, loud enough for all to hear. "You created something better. By forcing us to stand alone, you forced us to stand tall." The treaty was signed that day. The Vexari Empire, once the strongest voice for control and fear, joined the cooperative as an equal partner. The last piece of the old order fell into place in the new. Later, in a quiet room overlooking Earth, Laura Wilson stood with Carol Reed. "They had been part of this plan from the very beginning. Do you think they'll ever realize this was our plan all along?" Reed asked. "That we wanted them to push us out so we could build something better?" Wilson shrugged. Does it matter? The galaxy is safer and more free than it has been in 1,000 years. In the years that followed, the cooperative continued to grow and thrive. New technologies made life better for all worlds. Trade routes were safe. Smaller worlds no longer feared their stronger neighbors. Humans spread throughout the galaxy, no longer restricted by council rules. They built new colonies, explored new frontiers, and made friends with species they had never been allowed to meet before. The Ghost Fleet remained, always ready to protect the peace. But they were rarely needed now. The new order had taken hold, built on respect rather than fear. In schools across the galaxy, children of all species learned about the 5-year plan that changed everything, how humanity had abandoned the Galactic Council, causing havoc that cleared the way for something better. Some called it the Great Transition. Others called it the Human Revolution. But most simply called it the beginning of a new age. On the anniversary of Earth's departure from the Council, people on all worlds celebrated. It was a reminder that sometimes walking away from a broken system was the first step to building something better. Admiral Martinez, now retired, stood with President Brooks at a celebration in New Geneva. Fireworks lit up the sky above them. Ships from 100 worlds flew in formation overhead. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out this way?" Brooks asked him. Martinez looked up at the stars, now filled with friends instead of potential enemies. "I hoped," he said, "but I wasn't sure. Humans have a bad habit of replacing one form of control with another. That was the key." Brooks nodded. "We didn't seek to rule. We sought to unite." In deep space, on the edge of explored territory, a human ship met a new species for the first time. The aliens were cautious, afraid of these strange beings they had never seen before. The human captain opened communications. "We come as friends and equals," she said, using the traditional cooperative greeting. "We offer knowledge, trade, and cooperation." The aliens were confused. They had been expecting demands, threats, or attempts to control them. That was how first contact usually went in their experience. Instead, they found humans offering friendship. In 999, her office on Earth, watching the first contact unfold on her screen, President Brooks smiled. "And that," she said to no one in particular, "is how you build a galaxy worth living in." Humanity had abandoned the Galactic Council, and havoc had followed. But out of that havoc came not conquest, not control, but a new beginning for all. The stars had never been more full of promise.